to the Strong Enough podcast, where we talk about the challenges and celebrate the triumphs of people just like you. I'm your host, Claudia. Today's guest is going to talk about how a divorce led him into a new, healthier marriage with a bit of a twist. He's also going to share what led him to change his career path over the age of 40 and why, if you're not happy, you should do it too. Please help me in welcoming Russell Loo. Russell, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am well. I don't know what it is about you Vegas people that like to get up early and do these interviews.
I don't know either, to be honest with you. I've always been a morning person, so I can't say much. Right now, my wife's sleeping in the room, so she's not a morning person at all.
She is my spirit animal then, because I feel like the only reason you should be up at 5 a.m. is if you're still awake from the night before.
True. Very true. Very true. But those are long past days for me.
Same. Not in a party sense necessarily, but I worked night shift for a long time as a police officer. So that was actually my favorite shift to work.
Really?
Yeah.
You see a lot of action. You see a lot of crazy things.
Yes, but I don't know. That's just like my best time. And then I would sleep for from 10 a.m. to 4-ish, 3-ish, and then I'd go for a run. And I was very productive working the night shift. Strange.
Well, I remember I lost my job with Hot Topic, and I actually ended up getting something small, and I did the overnight shift at a convenience store just so I can bring in some money. Yeah, it sucked.
Well, convenience store at night doesn't sound quite as much fun, because it feels like that I, as the police officer, would have been visiting you as the convenience store clerk, probably for not so good reasons.
Right.
So I'm glad you're not there anymore. Why don't you tell, since we've just been chit-chatting away, why don't you tell the audience who you are other than Russell that used to work at Hot Topic?
Well, I'm Russell. I'm in Las Vegas. I'm apprenticing for being a tattoo artist over at Revolt Tattoos, and the journey has been really, really cool. Scary because of my age, of when I decided to do a complete career shift. But yeah, I have 2 beautiful kids, daughter and one who goes a non-binary, so another beautiful child. 19 and 15, so I am up there in the age scale, and it's kind of fun trying to keep up with them and remembering the things that I did when I was that age too. So yeah, that's pretty much it. On my second marriage, been married for 7 years, 9 years, right? No, 7 years, and then together 9 years. Yeah. So really, I got to say that hush hush, because
there's going to be a quiz at the end.
Yeah, I bet that's going to happen.
So 20 and 15 are your kids. You
19
are
and 15.
19 and 15. You are, 30. So seems weird, but okay.
No, I'm 43 years old.
And we had that conversation before, because I was definitely shocked when I learned that you do not look 43. But as you know, that is my talent in finding these guests who do not look their age. We have a lot to talk about that you just briefly laid out there for us. So we're going to start with the career change late in life. My dad did the same thing. He did not become a tattoo artist, thank God, because if you knew him, it just wouldn't work. But he went to law school at the age of 42.
Wow.
So yeah, he packed us all up as a family, and we moved from Virginia to North Carolina for him to go to law school. And I'm sure that was very scary for him as well. Talk a little bit about what inspired you to make a change.
So I've always been in the arts. I when I went to college, I was an art degree major. Did photography for a while, and it just kind of fell into to place, especially with all this COVID stuff happening for the past year or so. I kind of picked up a tattoo machine gun or machine. Oops. God, I should not tap to that, but a tattoo machine, and I ended up kind of practicing and did that, which was completely different too, because I've always been in management, always been in customer service, so I've always done retail, and I just kind of fell into it. And I was drawing. I was kind of alone. It kind of sucked. Kind of reverted back, and me, I'm kind of a lot of out there, and I'm talking a lot. I
Mm.
used to be a lot more than that, which is weird because people are like, oh, I would never have seen that. But I used to be out there more. And when COVID hit, I kind of reverted back into myself, and I kind of went down a little bit. But art just kind of picked me up and did that. So I decided to keep going with it.
So what led you to Revolt and to approach somebody who a lot of people would consider one of the best artists out there? I mean, I do because he tattoos me, so it'd be silly if I didn't think that. But what made you do that and have the confidence to do that?
It was finding the right place, to be honest with you. I was trying to find a place where I knew where I could learn as much as I possibly can and not be thrown into situations, which sounds weird because a lot of people would love to just be in there and do it and go and go and go. But I've come to find out that tattooing is a lot harder than what people think, and there's a lot of rules and a lot of technique, and you have to really work on those skills in order to do it. And I could not think of any other better place and to learn under than Revolt Tattoos and Joey. So
Now, I know, and I'm sure you know, Joey was hesitant to take you on, not because of you, but just he was just hesitant to apprentice or have another apprentice. So, how did you convince him to do that?
I got my foot in the door by becoming a manager there, or one of the managers over there. So I kind of just worked off of my work ethic and trying to just prove to them that I could do the job of managing and of taking care of the store. And little by little, I just kind of started staying late, drawing. I subliminally brought my sketchbook, and I left it on the on the break table so people would go fishing through it, and secretly, and telling all my secrets now. I used to go back there and kind of like look over and see if he was looking at it, and I would be like, oh yeah, you found my thing. I'm sorry, I forgot to put it away or something. And I just kept on drawing, and I kept on staying late, coming in early, asking what I can do to help, and kind of just progress that way. Wasn't too much of a nuisance, I guess you would say. But it is one of those things. I just kept doing the right things at the right time. And Joey, I remember the day too. Joey called me in the back, and he's like, all right, you come here. Because it was on my off day, and I was
Mhm.
there to just kind of draw and be there and be known and being present. So he says, all right, come on back. And I was like, all right. So I went back there, and he goes, sit down. Uh, so what are we going to do about, what do you want? What do you want to do? And I was like, well, I really would love to be an apprentice. I really would love to do this as a living. And he's like, all right, I don't want to do it, but I will. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, because I don't want you to learn from other people and learn the wrong way. He's like, I'd rather just show you. And he laid it all out on the table, and it was harsh too. Some of it was like, listen, I'm not gonna like it. I'm not gonna want you to do it. I don't want you to do it. I don't want to do it, but I'd rather show you and help you along than have someone else do it. So I was like, wow, okay. And kind of left that room, and I was smiling from like ear to ear, and I was like, yes, I freaking did it. So yeah, that was it.
And how long ago has that been?
Since he said yes or no yes, been about, I think it's almost been about 4 or 5 months now.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
What what has been the hardest thing for you to hear from him?
That I'm not doing as well as he thinks. And I think it's not like to hurt me. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I saw the podcast for Joey, and I it kind of hit me a little bit, but it was one of those things where I know he's not doing it to hurt me, but I know he's doing it so he can teach me. And it is getting me prepared and everything else. And it's actually making me look at tattooing a lot differently. Like I would, before I had any type of mentorship or anything like that, I started doing tattoos and I was like, oh, this is a great, this is perfect, I can tattoo tomorrow, and be in a shop and stuff like that. And he's starting to make me look at, be a little bit more critical, be a little bit more perfectionist, kind of looking at it and go, tell me what's wrong with it. He had me do an exercise that after I did a tattoo, he said, print out the pictures and write everything that you see wrong with it. And it took me a good 30 minutes. And I was like, I when I was done, I was like, God, I was like, this thing sucks. But then I was like,
Mm,
I see good things, but I see
mm.
a lot of things that I would fix. And that's what he's making me do and making me learn. So
How hard is it for you to have somebody like that standing literally, because I saw it, literally standing over your shoulder while you have that machine in your hand?
it's nerve-wracking. Definitely nerve-wracking. I just did one the other day too, and he's like, you nervous? And I was like, no. I was like, I'm not nervous about doing the tattoo. I'm more nervous about, I want to make you proud. I want to show what you've been kind of teaching me and stuff like that. So um small little heartfelt, connection right there.
Right.
But then after that, he was like, get the fucking work.
I can literally like envision this entire conversation happening. What advice would you give to somebody who is in their 40s? I'm not saying older because that's not old, but somebody who is not in their 20s, but who isn't happy with what they're doing in life and want to make a change, but they're afraid because they feel old. They feel like it's too late to do that.
It's never too late. It really isn't. And I'm one of the people who can say that it's worth it. You know what I mean? Whatever you do in life and whatever you want to do, I mean, there's no time limit to it. I mean, it does get rough. It is difficult because you still have responsibilities. You still have, you still got to put food on the table. You still got to rent. You still, every mortgage or whatever you have kids, you have to be able to support them and stuff like that. So it's tougher. It is definitely tougher, because I'm managing an entire shop for 40 hours a week, 46 hours a week at sometimes. And then I'm adding in another 25, maybe 30 hours of apprenticing. And then, and in my case, I come home and my wife has this great Etsy thing going for her. So I work another 5 hours when I get home. So it's just like it keeps stacking up. But it's never too late. It really isn't. If it's something that you love and you want to do it, because no one else is going to make it happen for you. So you got to do it yourself, and you got to push on.
I was trying to add up all the hours that you were throwing out there, that you work and all the different things, and I had to stop because I was getting tired just thinking about it. You mentioned during COVID that you were kind of struggling a little bit being alone or kind of like not being able to get out there, and art is something that helped you kind of pull through or not feel the way you felt. Would you say that you were experiencing like a depression, or
Oh
talk a
yeah.
little bit about that if you don't mind?
Yeah, absolutely. I was never like that. So before that, and my previous jobs and stuff like that, I was always the one that went out there, had fun, made a fool of myself and everything else. And then once COVID hit and we had that isolation for a while, and I was with my wife. So it wasn't like alone, but it is one of those things where you have that mental state of like, you wake up, you're doing nothing, you're just now thinking. And with me, and I actually lost my job from Hot Topic during COVID, so it's another smack in the face.
Mhm.
um and I know that we're probably going to touch on this a little bit later, but I also went through a breakup too.
Mhm.
So it was something that it was like kept on pounding on me, and then I just went into the like this deep dark hole. And I started, funny enough, I started downloading TikTok and and saw all the things there, and it kind of just like sparked a little bit more of a creativity on me. And then I started doing stupid videos, and then I started drawing, and then I just kind of went from there.
Were you doing the dances?
I tried. I tried. I think I have rhythm, but I don't.
Are these dances, that you tried to do still available for public viewing? Because if
No,
so,
no, because they never posted it.
okay, man.
Nope, no proof of it. So only
So,
now that I'm
so then it
talking
didn't
about it,
happen. So
it
if
did not
there's no
happen.
video, it did not happen, which is great about when we grew up, because there was no video of all the stupid things that we did. So there's no proof. It
There's no
really didn't
proof.
happen.
Beepers didn't have cameras on it, so
Yeah, yeah, right. Oh, thank
now we're dating ourselves.
that's right. That's right. We're just talking about what other people have told us.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
all it is.
That's all it is.
So we are going to jump into a little bit of relationship stuff now. You mentioned a couple things. One, that you have been through a divorce, and then how supportive that your current wife is. We're going to dive into all of that. Talk a little bit about your first marriage and what didn't go well in that.
Um, it's the first marriage, and Allison is that's my baby mama's she's wonderful. She really is. It was one of those things that everything kind of progressed as a normal American household went. You graduated high school, you went into college, um, you found somebody, you dated, you got married, got engaged, got married, got kids, and then it just kept falling way too quickly. I feel in ways that it went way too quickly. That's why I tell everyone I said take your time
Mhm.
when it comes to relationships. But I kind of just kept going step by step by step by step. And somewhere down the line, I lost who I was as a person. And not saying that you shouldn't, give and take in a relationship, but it is one of the things that I felt like I was giving way too much than I was getting. So I lost myself a
Mhm.
little bit. So, or a lot actually. And then one day I said I can't do it anymore. And yeah, I broke the news and said that I think we should separate and everything else. We had two, our youngest daughter was, or they were very young still.
Mhm.
So, and we just bought a house, and that's the thing. We went down that line of what we're going to do and all those steps. And then yeah, it was hard. It was really, really hard, both financially and emotionally. So, yeah.
I think it really is difficult when, like you said, you're checking all those boxes that you are supposed to check, but you're still not happy. So, what in you was able to make that decision when you finally did to say, you know what, I can't do this anymore?
It was inner strength. It was one of those things where it's like you have to, or do you deserve to be happy, um, and happy with yourself and happy in the place that you are in, um, and you have to make those choices. And sometimes they're hard choices, so you have to make those hard choices to make yourself happy. And one day I just had to. It was one of those things where I was like, I can't do it anymore.
I think that that is the theme that you are showing in your life, is that you make a lot of tough decisions that other people might not make, but it's important for you to make those so that you are happy and you're able to recognize that doing something different or maybe against the grain might be what is right for you.
Mhm.
How is the relationship between you guys now, if there is one?
Oh, it's great. It's great. It's one of those things that we talk before, like, now it's been a while. So our relationship is now really just like, the parents of the kiddos, and making sure that they're okay, making sure they got, books and school and everything's taken care of and things like that. And I think we've grown into adulthood um together, and then now we're just moving on to our next step. Congratulations to her. She just got married too, from with someone over on her end. But it's a great relationship, now it is.
Which is awesome.
Yeah,
A lot of
definitely.
people can't do that.
And it's sometimes it's hard too, because I'm remotely parenting, so they still live in Florida.
Okay.
So the kiddos live with their mom in Florida, and I do as much as I possibly can. I text and call and do everything I can, and go out there. I remember I did post something over on TikTok that it took 2 years for me to get my hugs.
Mhm.
And I just got those hugs a couple months ago, so it was great.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So then you moved into a new relationship for 9-ish years now that you have been in. Talk a little bit. I'm not going to make you do dates or birthdays or anything like that. Talk a little bit about initially what made that relationship different than your first.
So I took my time with my marriage now. It's one of those things where, again, I wanted to find someone who's going to be not only good to me, but like good to my family as well.
Mhm.
And it took time. It took time. I think I was in the relationship. It wasn't really fast. So I think it was like almost, I can't remember dates, and it's going to suck, but um, anywhere between like 3 to 5 years we were dating.
Mhm.
I think it was in that time frame.
Mhm.
And then I decided to ask her out, or ask her to marry me.
Mhm.
So I took my time in the relationship to really build that relationship up, because I didn't want to go through the same steps as before. I wanted to kind of set the right expectations, and she wanted to also do the same thing too, you know and take our time and be able to be happy with each other, and happy on our own, but also together as well. So
Mhm.
we went through that, and then um, so I think it just kind of builds up to it. So I think it's a perfect relationship for us. You know what I mean? It's different for other people, but it's a great relationship for us.
Well, you laid that out there for me. This is where I was going anyway, but you just rolled out the carpet. So let's go there.
Okay.
It's a little bit not traditional. You're not checking quite the same boxes that you checked in that first marriage. Talk a little bit about what led you guys to an open relationship.
So, and this is recent. I would probably say it's been about 2 years. We opened it. 2 to 3 years. So honestly, I wasn't that great of a guy in the beginning part of it all. And I know I've made some mistakes, and I know I've tripped a lot. And I have a loving and wonderful and forgiving and amazing wife now, that really helped me through it, and for me, for being a guy, I don't like really opening up to a lot of things, and then she really opened that up. And now the communication, I sucked at communication. So now, being in an open relationship, communication is like key, of course.
Mhm.
But it took a while, and it took a lot of mistakes on my end and forgiveness on her end to be at the spot we're at now. So it was hard. It was really hard. And I love her for every bit of it and helping me get out of the slump that I was in, helping her, and that she can communicate and trust and everything else. So it was a hard road to get to that level, or to this level now. So yeah, it was tough.
How does a conversation like that happen? Who proposed the idea?
Um, I was kind of like hinting to it for
Mhm,
a little bit, and I just didn't know how to approach it. Again, I suck at communication. Uh, in the beginning part of it all. So I was kind of like hinting to it. And
mhm,
then she just straight out just said, "Hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to do this? Do you want to be in an open relationship? Do you want to be in an open marriage? We have to have ground rules."
mhm.
And I remember that night too. Once we said, okay, this is the direction we were going to go, we drove up and down 215, and we went all the way to like Boulder City, and then back again, and everything else. So we laid out everything down. um Number one was communication. Number one, two was trust, and then we just laid everything out of what things are going to mean, what we need to do to make sure that our relationship stays strong, and that whoever we bring into the relationship is going to follow our suit and
Mhm,
follow us. It is an addition, not a one or the other.
mhm.
And to be honest with you too, it's one of those things where, like I said, we've been doing this for about 2 to 3 years now, and I've had relationships where we had to stop it.
Mhm.
It's like we're not going in the same direction. We have to stop it. And it was the communication on our end that we had to really say, okay, this is not working for us, or this relationship that you have is not working for the relationship in a whole. So
How hard was it for you to improve your communication skills, since that is what I think and what you've kind of said is really key to having a successful relationship like this, and you also admittedly sucked at communication. So, how has that transition to being a much better communicator been for you?
I had to stop thinking that I was gonna hurt her with my feelings. And this is where I like strive for everyone to kind of do. Even though you think, or it may hurt the other person, you have to lay it out. um because if they really truly love you, as my wife does for me, they will maybe not like it, but they will understand and help you go through it. So I had to stop in my mind to get out of my own way and just say, listen, even though I know this is going to hurt, I have to say it, because if I don't, it's gonna be way worse in the future. So I
I
had to get out of my own head and say that
I
to
love
myself.
that you said that, because I think in any type of relationship, and I try really hard not to differentiate men and women, but sometimes I do. I feel like a lot of men do that, where they don't want to tell the truth, or they don't want to say something because they're afraid it's going to hurt the other person. And in their mind, well, if I just don't say it or lie, that's better, because then I'm not hurting the person. And they don't really think through the ramifications of that decision.
Mhm. No, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Uh, I'm part of the group. Men suck at communication sometimes. I mean, there's some people out there that are better at it, but in my case, yeah, it was you just really have to communicate and have that relationship too, where they're not going to judge you and you're not going to judge them, and that's another key part too.
Let's talk about that judgment. So, not from your partner, but from other people, because again, you're doing something that is not traditional. And I'm of the opinion in life that if you want to dress up like a unicorn and identify as a unicorn, like as long as it doesn't affect me, what do I care? You know what I mean? Like if it makes you happy, you do you. Is that what you find is most people's attitude, or do you encounter people that are more judgmental towards you?
That's funny story. So I came out to my kids and I was scared to have this conversation with them because I was like, what are they going to think about me? What are they going to do? How are they going to feel about it and stuff like that? So I remember I actually traveled down there, and I wanted to kind of see them face to face and while telling them about it. So I sat them down and I was like, listen, I got something really important, something that's new in my life, and I want to share it with you because I share a lot of things with my kids. So I was like, hey, so Sarah and I love each other. There's nothing wrong with our relationship, but we have opened it up to see other people. And the first thing that my oldest one says is like, oh, you're in a poly relationship. And I was like, wait a minute. How do you know about this? You're too young to know about this. And then my youngest daughter was like, oh yeah, all of our friends are doing it. I was like, whoa, time out. What? So they were talking to me about and I was like, all right, so I was like, I'm done with my news. You got to share now. What do you know about this? And I think nowadays, I think it's a little bit more open for the younger crowd. Now, the older crowd that I get, and also with like the friends that I've grown up with,
Mhm.
they're like, ooh, I don't know. I don't know if I would be able to, you do you,
Mhm.
but I don't know if I could do that. And I was like, it's not for everyone. It's not one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, let's just do this. And then you get like some of the people at work, not all of them, but some of the people were like, oh my God, you're the luckiest man in the world. And then you get other people like, oh, you don't love your wife. And so you get both ends of it all. And it's a wide spectrum, but most of the people that I see now are right in the middle where, you do you, I wouldn't do it, or that's cool, or tell me, educate me on it. So there's a lot of people like that I come across with. And then also let me say too, we're not swingers. So it's not
Right.
one of those things. It's actually relationship based. So it is someone that we're trying to add to the relationship. There's, and funny that you said unicorns. I mean, they kind of referred as unicorns, but it's one of those things where we don't say it that way, but
Mm.
it is someone that we're trying to add to the relationship and someone that's going to grow with us in order for that to happen. So yeah, we're definitely not swingers part, but it's different. Yeah.
I think a lot of people do make that mistake or misconception that an open relationship is swinging, and they're actually two entirely different things.
Yeah, I mean, one's you build your life around, and then the other one is just like it's a I wouldn't say fetish, but I mean it's a lifestyle. That's a great word for it. It's a lifestyle when you look at it that way. But yeah, we're more of building relationships and things like that.
Now, when you told your kids, had your non-binary child already come out to you as they and them?
Yes, yes. You know, they came out to us probably, oh my goodness, probably a year or 2 years before I came out to them. So yeah, they went on that road to, this is how I want to be known as, this is how I identify. And the oldest kind of went through that as well. And now the oldest, she is kind of like by, she's exploring things and stuff like that, and I kind of encourage the exploring thing because I feel like you can't go through life with being too much into a shelter or into an egg. experience the things, because I don't think you're going to experience it. You're going to wish you experienced it before, and especially in your younger years. I tell her to be careful, tell them to be, to use good judgment. I use my father's line on them all the time. But yeah, they, going back to the original question, they came out to me about 2 years before I did.
Did that make you maybe a little less nervous to share what you had to share?
A little bit, but I was not prepared for what they were coming back to me with. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you do have that relationship, and they're open to it, and they're open themselves to experience. So now, there was a time frame too where my ex-wife was like still didn't kind of like fully get into the whole non-binary thing, and they would always come to me with and try to get some advice, and like, hey, how do I tell mom this, or how do I do this? And I was like, you just got to be honest, you got to be open with them, but also you got to remember too, as parents, we're always going to look at you girls as the baby girls.
Mhm.
You are our children. If we mess up, we mess up, but you can't take it personally. And I told them too, I said, that's in life too. You're going to go through life when people are going to kind of, interpret the way that you are, and you can't be mad at them. You can educate them and talk to them about it. And then if they don't follow suit there, then they're probably not going to be the person that's going to stay in your life. So don't worry about them. So I kind of used it like life lessons, but it is
Mhm.
something where I told them, I was like, this is, you're our baby girls. You we can't change that, you know what I mean?
Right.
But we can just move forward and progress the way that you progress. So
So it sounds like you guys in both directions have been really supportive of one another in the decisions that you've made in your lives.
mhm, definitely, definitely, you have to, because if you one person is saying one thing and the other person is just ends up becoming very toxic, and it does reflect on the kids, on your kids, on anyone's kids. So you have to be prepared to battle those things too.
What would you say to other parents who maybe are going through something where their child is telling them news that they maybe didn't expect or aren't prepared for? How can they best support their children?
Love is love. You love your kids, you're always gonna love your kids, no matter how much of a assholes they are, and sometimes how demanding they are and stuff like that. But you're always gonna love your kids. You're never gonna do that, and the only way to show that acceptance is to continue showing them that the love that you have for them. Um, it may not be your cup of tea, and again, it's I'm open-minded, so it came super easy to our family. But there are families out there that it's not their cup of tea. Just because it's not your cup of tea doesn't mean that no one else is going to like that cup of tea. So, you know be understanding about that. Again, you may not like it, but that's not your choice. Your choice, your responsibility as a parent is to make sure that your kids feel loved, that they're supported, that they are, you know you're taking care of them. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you have to express those things, and no matter what they do, they're going to make their own mistakes, and they're going to make everything else. And even though, as much as you pre-warn them about life in general, they're always going to make their own mistakes, but you have to be the one to pick them up, especially if they need it. But if they
Mhm.
don't need it, be there to support them and let them at least know that you're there. So yeah, that's definitely it.
I want to move back to something that you mentioned earlier, a difficult breakup that you went through not too long ago. So now that we've kind of laid out your current relationship status, that will probably make a little more sense to people.
Right.
So, will you talk about the difficulty of going through that with a spouse by your side?
So for me personally, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I take things a little too emotional sometimes. But the thing about it is, though, I hold it all in. So going through a breakup, and it was a pretty bad breakup. It was one of those things where I didn't want it to happen, but it needed to happen.
Mhm.
Um, and I did everything. I went through every single step of like being angry, being, sad and depressed about it and everything else. And it was a tough breakup because also I didn't want to show that it bothered me too much to
Mhm.
my wife, because I didn't want her to feel like it was uh that I wasn't happy with her either.
Mhm.
So it's harder going through a breakup. Breakups are hard no matter what. So, but this one kind of put me in a really bad state. Um and yeah, it was pretty bad, and I knew that I was making my wife suffer a little bit too, because she couldn't say or do anything that would make it feel better. So I knew it was hurting her.
Mhm.
Um, in return, hurt me even more. So it kind of even put me down even further. But like any other breakup, you kind of just go through it, go through the emotions, go through everything, and then make sure that you're coming out the other ends a better person. So, but honestly, I couldn't have done it as quickly as I did without the support of my wife. So,
I wanna ask you, because maybe I need to be educated as well. When I think about an open relationship, I think about potentially like you might have a relationship with somebody else, she might have a relationship with another person. When I think of polyamory, I think of like we all love each other
mhm,
as a group.
mhm.
Am I right, or are they
Yeah,
more synonymous?
no, you are right, and that's where it kind of where it led us to being in more in a poly relationship than I guess an open marriage. Like I've tried, or I've done that. I do have that ability to go out and have fun with some friends, and then if I connect with somebody, I could, whatever.
Mhm.
But as long as I communicate that and say, okay, hey, I'm going out with some friends. There's some people here that I'm kind of connecting with, and everything else. That there is that those types of those are the ground rules that we made. But what I feel, and getting out of the other relationship, and that made us really say, okay, we want to go more toward the poly style, because I can connect with somebody and they're not going to connect with her.
Mhm.
And that's not going to be healthy, because that was the toxic part, or that was toxic is really a very strong word, but it is that way. Happened in the other relationship where they didn't mesh,
Mhm.
and I meshed so much with them that I was blinded, things like that. But it's more of a poly thing, because yes, you're right, where poly is a whole, and like I said, adding and building a
Mhm.
relationship to it, and that's kind of like where we want to be at.
So do you feel like that move to more of a poly versus an open has been a better step for you guys?
Oh, definitely, definitely, because I again, it's something that I do want to grow. I want to be that. We're definitely looking for someone, so out there in the world. um but yeah, it is it because I don't want to miss out on things, and I don't want her to miss out on things either. So, and one of the things that kind of made it out there, and this is where sometimes we have our own little separate things,
Mhm.
is that so she has anxiety. She doesn't really like going out, and she knew that also, that I was kind of staying in, because even though I wanted to go out,
Mhm.
because I was staying in for her. So she didn't want me to miss out on anything either. So that's also another factor that came into why we came to this type of relationship. But so she doesn't want me to miss out, but also I want to take her out
Mhm.
of it too, and be like, hey, this is what the world is like. You know what I mean? And then if I had some extra help, um, with someone who she connects with,
Hmm.
she could have that friendship and she can go out with them and experience things too. So
It sounds almost like there's even more care about the other person's feelings in this type of relationship, at least for you guys, because you kind of even take that extra step and go that extra mile to consider that other person's feelings.
definitely. And that was a lesson to be learned on my end. That's the direction that my wife right now wanted, and still wants, but I slipped up a couple of things because I was like, okay, well, I found someone that may not mesh with you, but so do I lead separate lives? Do I
Mhm.
leave one life here or live one life here and live one life there? And it got even more tiring for me. But it is one of those things where I was like, I can't do it anymore. So the communication on our end here makes it even better and kind of connects it.
So, based on your vast relationship experience in a lot of different types of relationships, what is one piece of relationship advice that you would give out to the masses?
Like I said before, stay communication because it's again, if you don't lay everything out on the table right then and there and it starts to build up, it is a worse outcome in the future. So stay communicative. Um, tell your feelings, even though you think that it may hurt the other one, because then you actually know the true meaning of your relationship. Because if you say the things that you feel and that you feel inside your heart, and they don't, or they put you down for it, it's probably not a good relationship to be in. So you can definitely figure out real quick about it. But if you find that one person who listens to you, who cares about you, who says, okay, you know what, we're going to get through this, we together are going to get through this, that's find that person, find that one, find that. And it may not just be one, it could be a couple of different people in my case, where if you find those types of people, stick with them. Yeah. So yeah, be communicative, share your feelings.
And it sounds like you would probably give a similar piece of advice to people considering an open or a poly relationship, is to communicate those feelings and increase that level of communication as you navigate that relationship.
Definitely. Definitely.
Right on.
First thing I say.
Let's talk a minute about tattoos. I know we talked about tattoos before, but we're going to talk more about tattoos because we both love tattoos. Tell me, what is your most meaningful tattoo that you have?
Meaningful tattoo. So on my chest, I actually have, it says stand for something or fall for anything. And then right below that, I have my kiddos' names on me. So those right there, that right there is the most meaningful, because that's kind of like what you would want to live your life, you know, stand up for what you believe in. Even though it might not be the common thing or the traditional way. And then I have some pieces from my parents. You can't forget about mom and dad.
Right, right.
Um, I really got some stupid ones. I don't know if you ever seen Dogma, the Kevin Smith movie. I have Buddy Christ giving you the, you know, on my leg. So that's the fun part. But yeah, that one on my chest is the most meaningful for me.
What is going to be your next tattoo?
I think that's a different show because I got a list.
Okay, all right.
Well, and, I haven't been tattooed in probably about 2 years now, so I'm just itching to get in there. I've been talking to a lot of the artists. I've been talking about BJ doing. I have a Harry Potter sleeve,
Mhm.
so I want to get Dumbledore on me. I got a lot of Harry Potter tattoos. And then talking to Chris. Chris wants to do some Legos on me. Chris
Oh,
tattooed you, so
yeah, I could see
uh,
that.
yeah, and do some Legos on me, and then I want Joey. I think after everything is all said and done and my apprenticeship is over, I actually wanted to have Joey tattoo me. as in like, hey, okay, I made it, you know.
Mhm.
And I think I'm gonna get the R star, our logo,
Yeah.
and I think it'll be meaningful for Joey to do it for me. And I'm hoping, I'm just gonna
Mhm.
kind of just pray that I get through this apprenticeship without
I
hiding
love
in a
that.
corner.
I can't see you doing that, hiding in the corner. You are definitely going to get through it. The nice thing for you is that you have this amazing pick of artists literally right there in your own shop for all different styles and all the different things that you might want.
Definitely, definitely, and actually, it puts a lot of pressure on me too, because other artists were telling me, is like, you know, if we were in some other shop, you would have been already tattooing already. You would have been getting your own clients and everything else. And I was like, well, I was like, I don't feel like I'm at your level yet. So you were just talking about how good these guys are, and I surround myself with some amazing artists, and it pushes me to be better, to do the to tattoo, because I'm in an environment, I'm in an atmosphere that these guys are freaking amazing. And some of the stuff is like, it's like, that's, I want to be like you guys. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of some shops in Vegas where, I mean, you'd be the top tattooer right now.
oh,
So you're in an amazing place to learn. I'm going to flip it on you for a second here. Now that you know me fairly well, you've seen a lot of my tattoos. If I said, Russell, I'm going to let you pick a tattoo to put on me, what would it be?
oh, I would think of someone, like a, almost like a warrior kind of tattoo. I want to go into the realism
Hmm.
aspect of this industry. So definitely like some warrior badass chick that takes no shit from no one, and you can just see it in their eyes. And make a huge like statement with that tattoo. Someone that's like super powerful. Yeah, that's something that I would definitely feel honored to put on you, because I feel like that would just match
Right
your type
on.
of energy and your type of stand. So yeah, totally.
We'll
That would
start
be
working on
super
it.
cool.
Start working on it.
All right.
And we'll work that. I love that. Thank you. I'm honored that that is what you think. So thank you. And I'm anxious to see a drawing from you on that at some point
Maybe.
kind of
You're
soon.
coming in, right? You're coming in soon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I gotta email you about that. So yeah, I just want to come and hang out with you guys, if I'm being honest. Like it's just a cool place to be and a great vibe and a great environment. Well, Russell, where can people find you if they want a tattoo, if they want to talk about relationships and get some advice from you, if
Oh.
they want to hear about some not so great TikTok dances, where can people find you?
Definitely social media. I'm on Instagram, on both the personal and professional page on Instagram. TikTok, you'll definitely find me. It's at Russell underscore Loo. And then I think on TikTok, it's 11 underscore tattooing, on TikTok. I'm an open book, have fun with me kind of thing. I'm at Revolt Tattoos in Las Vegas inside the Fashion Show Mall. You can definitely just swing on by here and talk to me. Um, Definitely for business purposes, because if I start talking personal, Joey would throw something at me.
Yeah, it's not gonna go well.
uh, exactly. Um, but yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Russell, you have been amazing. Thank you so much for being willing to share about what you've been through, your relationships, your career path. You have been an awesome, awesome person to chat with. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
I really hope you guys enjoyed my conversation with Russell as much as I did. I feel like he shared so much great relationship advice, and I really loved how he talked about being willing to change up your life if you're not happy, even if it's difficult. So remember, until next week, you are strong enough and you are worth it.